Joining us now from Perth, Principal at the PR Council. I refer to the one and only Christy McSweeney. Welcome, Christy. Now, let's get stuck into this. I know how excited you are about the prospect of Brisbane being named as the host of the 2032 Olympic Games tomorrow. And, of course, the front page of the Courier Mail says it all when it says it adds up to victory, exclusive proof will host a break-even Games. Brisbane will know in just hours if it will host the 2032 Olympic Games, with the results of the historic vote expected to be revealed about 6:30 Queensland time. New details have emerged about the city's bid, including how ticket sales of $1.3 billion will help deliver on a promise to ensure the Brisbane Olympics breaks even. A line-by-line budget confirms a $5 billion price tag for the event, but it also outlines how the organising committee expects to recoup its money, including ticket sales, sponsorship and charging TV networks more than $1 billion to broadcast the event. Christy, I know you're excited. I know you're excited about Brisbane.
I am jumping out of my skin here, Gleeson, over in Western Australia, the only part of the country or major part of the country that's not locked down this evening, 13.5 million Australians. So I think it's some great news for our major events industry. We've seen the Grand Prix be cancelled twice now out of Melbourne, the Australian Open on a knife edge. It's excellent news for Australia to have something to celebrate if Brisbane does indeed come through tomorrow night. And it looks pretty guaranteed, doesn't it?
It certainly does, Christy. And of course, I went to Switzerland, Lausanne in Switzerland back in September 29 when the original bid was put forward by the Premier. We did crosses into Sky News. Of course, Peter Stefanovic I spoke to on a number of occasions on that particular trip. Now, this is the final rubber stamp. We're in the home stretch. We're ready to rock and roll. And at 6:30 tomorrow night, you will hear those historic words. Brisbane will host the 2032 Olympic Games and, of course, will join Melbourne 56, Sydney 2000. And there will be extended coverage on Sky News tomorrow night, so make sure you tune in. All right, let's go to the front of the telly, Christy, now. The two biggest stories in the country right now are Brisbane Olympic Games and, of course, what's happening with the COVID situation. Bush lockdown, the front page of the telly. Positive pet food driver, dogs towns. COVID has broken out of Sydney and infected the bush, with Orange, Cabone and Blaney local council areas plunged into lockdown. The 7-day stay-at-home order for 50,000 residents in the Central West was the result of rising alarm from authorities that a Southwest Sydney pet food delivery driver was very infectious when he visited the area. As you say, Christy, not many parts of Australia not in lockdown tonight. We know that Sydney is very much in lockdown. We know that Melbourne is very much in lockdown. We know that South Australia is very much in lockdown. But this is alarming that it's now broken that ring of steel, if you like, of Sydney and got out into country parts of New South Wales.
And it's also echoed in Victoria, where there are exposure sites listed in regional Victoria. That wasn't the case in Victoria during the last lockdown. Regional Victoria was caught up in the lockdown unnecessarily, I believe, as do many others. But this time it certainly has permeated past the city limits, and it hasn't taken very long for people who work in those types of jobs to be more at risk, perhaps because they feel they have to go to work and get paid to pass city limits to do so. And that's a recurring issue. We faced that in Victoria, with the Victorian government eventually paying people $1,500 to not go to work as a payment. The federal government is grappled. How do we get people to stay home who really do feel that if they don't go to work, they can't be paid? And you've seen the policy making around that. This will, of course, also impact not just Orange, which is a fantastic town, but Bathurst. Many residents and people working in the public service and so forth. Orange. Commute from Orange into Bathurst, Charles Sturt University with term starting soon. So it's going to be really hard for that whole Central West area.